The life expectancy gap here in the United States between men and women has once again widened. The numbers for 2021 are in, and according to these numbers, men currently die nearly 6 years before women in the United States. That is amazing. The fact that there's this gap is not new. Women have outlived men for more than a century, but that had been narrowing up until 2010, and it is once again widening. And in fact, the life expectancy disparity between men and women has not been this large since way back in 1996. And I think this is important for us to talk about because 6 years off the end of your life is so huge. And with my diet, I definitely need those years. So we gotta fix these problems we're gonna identify. And there are real problems. This is the sort of topic that like right wingers like Joe Rogan or Alex Jones might talk about. But the issue is that they would see a thing that's real and they'd come out of it saying that like the solution is to like drink gorilla paste or microwave your testicles, but that's not actually the solution. Here's the real causes apparently. So the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated this. That was the greatest contributor to the gap's growth. And what do you know? The guys who pretend to care about the plight of men in the modern era were least likely to think that you should care about COVID. The second greatest cause was a rise in unintentional injuries like vehicle accidents and drug overdoses, which killed a record 106,000 people just in the US in 2021. But there are many other factors that are contributing to this, including homicides, heart disease, so diet is definitely a factor here, suicides, homelessness, and the fact that men make up over 90% of the country's prison population are more likely to be a victim of fatal violence and suicide as well. So there's a lot there, Brett. What do you make of this?
If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide or is just, you should reach out and get help. That should go right after every mention of suicide and something like this because it's very important.
Thank you.
I will say now I'm going to make a very comedic turn. It just seems like COVID was invented in a lab to save Social Security.
That is what some say.
I think that's what happened. That and fentanyl is just a way to save Social Security instead of privatizing it. And I don't know what's worse. So in this scenario, yeah, it sucks to be a dude. Another thing they're trying to do is raise the retirement age, which is like, but like we're gonna die. I mean, at a certain point, the retirement age is gonna be higher than the life expectancy in America. Other reasons on this list, a lot of the stuff that is on this list is the reasons why people die in America faster is A, we're not as happy as some places where they live longer, and B, our healthcare industry is not only more expensive and less accessible, but because of that, we let a lot of preventative care just kind of slip by because it's expensive, and then we get to a point where we feel horrible. And I think a lot of the folks like John was talking about with Elon Musk and the like, when they talk about the disaffected poor men of America, like this is something that should absolutely be in their wheelhouse and they should be advocating for. And you know, Jordan Peterson sucks at his job if this is the case, because his job was to save all these folks, and I don't know what he's been doing with his time.
I mean, look, I've been saying for a really long time that there needs to be an alternative to the question of how to fix men, because the people who have been ostensibly asking that question, attempting to answer it, are massive grifters who don't give a damn about men. And following their advice is a surefire path to being alienated from successful relationships and being isolated socially and supporting politicians that don't give a damn about you and an early death. So that is what the right wing attempt to fix men has produced. We already know that. It's just going to get worse over time. There needs to be an alternative. There probably is. Who has the time to find it? But that is something I'd like to work on. You know, Brett and I, we have occasionally talked about working on a book together. We had Wrong. Remember Wrong?
Yeah.
We didn't end up doing. I think we should try to launch this.
Really, Jordan and I want to do a podcast called Man Down.
Yeah.
There's the artwork for it.
Hey, I want to be involved in Man Down.
This is a pitch. I don't know, maybe it'll happen next year. Who knows? But
I like Jordan. Come on, let me be part of Man Down.
Well, you've just been, you've been parenting, and that's going to take the time off your life.
And maybe that should be a part of this. Maybe bringing that dad energy to this could be an important perspective.
But there are things out
there. My resume.
There are things out there that make it easier, just from a purely selfish standpoint. Like, women in the workplace, other breadwinners in the house, that can alleviate some of the stress on you guys if you just embrace equality. You will have someone to help you out with stuff, but you might actually have to help out with some other stuff as well. And I'm fine with all the people out there, all the like super toxic seeming people who are like, go out there and exercise. I hate exercise, but do it. Take care of yourself. But I think there are ways to be better. And I think if we take care of people in America and we don't villainize kindness, then we'll all feel a lot less toxic and stressed out, which, as we all know, contributes to heart disease and certain types of cancers, actually.
Yeah, don't villainize kindness, don't villainize women. George's probably going to want to talk about the fitness angle in the podcast. And obviously I'm a big fan, so that could lead to that could be good conversations.
There you go.
As well. I feel socially isolated and I feel lacking in male friendships.
There you go. Well, let's do it. I was talking to a child psychiatrist the other day, and he was like, listen, there's terrible stuff that the internet does, and we're definitely isolated from each other, but it does help you find communities. We just need to make sure that those are positive, supportive communities and not like super duper toxic doom scroll communities.
100%. I agree. Brookmark says John desperately pitching himself for a non-existent podcast is ultimate vibes. Yeah, isn't it ironic?
I feel the same way about most stuff.
I never like reach out to people to be on their podcast that exists. But if it's one that doesn't exist. Anyway, who has the time? Who has the time to fix men? But it needs to happen. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.